From the Newstalk ZB newsroom, this is Newsfix.
In this update, Aucklanders are being provided reassurance over using public transport. Police are increasing their presence on services across the city following the fatal stabbing of a woman on a bus in Onehunga earlier this week. Police Minister Mark Mitchell says having officers more visible on public transport will be a deterrent. The White House says Israel's airstrikes on Iran were in self-defense. Israel's army says it's conducted precise strikes on military targets in Iran, and its defensive and offensive capabilities were fully mobilized. Israeli officials say no nuclear or oil targets were hit. The strikes appear to be in retaliation for Iran's strikes on Israel earlier in the month. CNN's Jeremy Diamond says there had been mounting anticipation about how Israel would respond to those attacks.
They initially did consider striking those nuclear and oil targets, but appear to have been talked off of that ledge by the United States, which very much wanted to see a much more limited response.
A U.S. official says they had no involvement in the strikes. Iran has closed its airspace. Israel says this wave of airstrikes has ended. A man in his 70s is among those competing in the 55th edition of Dunedin's annual White Island race today. Stretching 5 kilometres between St Clair Beach and White Island, the race is considered one of the toughest events on the New Zealand surf lifesaving calendar. 72-year-old Graham Newton has missed only 4 races since the event began in 1969. Rotorua's mountain bike marathon has drawn a large number of cyclists to the city. The 3-day Whaka 100 mountain bike marathon is underway at Whakarewarewa Forest. More than 3,000 mountain bikers, local and from around the world, are competing on the city's world-class trails. Rotorua NZ Chief Executive Andrew Wilson says the area is pretty special for riders.
Certainly when you kind of get into the longer distances, it's really pretty unique to be able to kind of come and ride those on predominantly single track.
Rotorua is also hosting a big swimming competition this weekend. That's news. In sport, All Black stand-in skipper Patrick Tuipulotu is urging his team to fight fire with fire in this evening's game with Japan. Tuipulotu, who spent time in Japan's top flight, says it's a different style that they need to be aware of.
Tackle real low, they carry real low. They're good in that area, combat area down low as well. Also, quite fast, agile players. I'm expecting they'll be quite agile and they'll try to play an expansive game.
The Australian Rugby League team reckons history will count for little in tomorrow's Pacific Championship test with New Zealand in Christchurch. The Kiwis beat the Kangaroos 30-0 in last year's final to snap a 10-game losing streak against the Australians. Kangaroos coach Mal Meninga says the team has parked last year's loss completely. That's sport. I'm Joe Gilfillan.
For more news, listen to Newstalk ZB live on iHeartRadio.